there were some children who were getting grants, very few. And that time, we had a challenge of orphans and vulnerable children. As a minister, I took a month and I think a week. First, I mobilized resources. UNICEF gave me the money. I went to NBC. I said, please give me a film crew to travel with me all over Namibia. I went to all 13 regions. That time there were only 13 regions. And I visited every constituency and visited every house which was headed by a child. I was with a camera and a reporter for that full month and a week. Then we see how the children who were orphaned by HIV/AIDS and others were living. I brought that film here at the cabinet. We saw it. And I say, I'm saying this to convince ourselves that we must expand the children grant to allow all the children who meet that criteria to benefit. Today, it's there. Everybody knows it. Where I go, I make sure I'm on the service of the people. No one can deny that children are not getting grants. I even then, to keep the children and to have some empowerment, started to build community centers, starting with in Tsunkwe, one in Kirkfeld here, one in Okongo, so I think 4 others. And the idea is to have community centers, which finally now I realize even the Ministry of Health is doing, youth is doing so. So it's one government we have to combine.
Of course.
But that is one thing I can be proudly say, because I look at the need of the people. We have to build those centers. Then I become Minister for Information. Many other things also happened. I introduced the government bulletin, news bulletin. It was not there, but I introduced it. I also then was attracted by soapies. And I say, why should we always show foreign soapies in the Namibian TVs? So we should develop our own soapie. So we started. I don't know if any of you have had a soapie called The Tie That Brands. Yeah, that is another thing that I have to say must be introduced.
Yeah, which is good also because it gives the opportunity to create an industry.
Yes.
And also promote a film industry, which also promotes jobs and self-delivery and participation of Namibian people, rather than just exporting all those things. So I think that's really fantastic.
Say that again, because my idea as a Minister of Information was to build the whole creative industry. And one time I went to Egypt. I visited their film city. I came back impressed, but I still feel that as we are moving, we might have a film city in Namibia, especially the south. It's very well positioned to have something like that. It's a dream. We can talk about it, somebody can pick it up, but it's something that can happen in Namibia. But unfortunately, my soapie just played a few series. I don't know what happened. I left the ministry. But it was very popular. Those who watched it, it was... And how I came, there was this film which was popular here by the Italian or Spanish, Tequila. That film, somebody drink a tequila. Then that artist came to visit us here. The person does not even say good morning. He was just speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
It's when I came to say, no, we should have our own soapies. So everywhere I go, I think of saving. Then information again. Tsungwe, we know that that's where the mostly inhabited by our San community. And they never had their language spoken on the radio. Then I say I also had developed community radios as a Minister of Information. There was one in Caitmans, one in Hobabes. The one in Enana was put up by UNESCO. But then we opened NBC station in Tungwe. And I went there, I inaugurated, because I said, no, we cannot really allow the people there not to hear their language coming from the radio. So these are some of the things when you say
promoting
inclusivity, culture,
community,
and so on, accommodating. So that is now when information, there are many other things. Environment really, it's one of the best ministry for me, for the ministries which I served. Now, when I went to that ministry, my first approach was to understand the state-owned enterprise that were administrated under that ministry. That is the Namibia Tourism Board, the NWR, the one which is running lodges, and then the tourism sector. I read all those laws very well. Then I came now to international because of the conventions and because of the Namibian Constitution on the protection of environment. So I familiarized myself with the Convention on Climate Change, Convention on Biodiversity, and Convention on Desertification. And then the laws of the Paris title. And the thing became so interesting, became so good, and I was enjoying it. One thing when it comes to tourism, I found that the private sector and the government, they didn't have a strong connection. The connection was there, but I had just to strengthen it. And why do I say that? Is because the private sector, they used to have annual tourism expo, excluding the government. I called them, I said, no, that cannot be. We must have it jointly, government and the private sector. Today, as we are here, the tourism expo is one of the best and attracts so many people. And when we did that, our tourism industry, the arrival just shot up. So that is why I say, because I say the people must really benefit from this. It's a sector that cannot be managed. Private, the regulator, which is the government, is not talking to the operators. We must have a strong link. So now it has developed our industry. Then conservancies. I have really introduced or allocated quite a number of conservancies in Namibia. The reason is conservancies is a program whereby the government land, you allow the community to use it. You are conserving the biodiversity, particularly the animals, and of course the plants too. So you give them an area and say you have a concession here. Then you facilitate for them to get an operator. A lodge can be built up and the community will have a share. The one brings money have a share. And that has helped so many communities. I remember there were even communities where the conservancies were just paying for the school development fund. They just go into their conservancy, how many children go to school here, to which school, and then the conservancy pays everything. And through the trophy hunting, the community really benefited and they continue to benefit. So that is one of the things that I'm proud of, that I have really assisted so many people through that program. Again, at the environment, I found the Environmental Management Act it was not operationalized. When I read, then I say, no, this has to be operationalized. It was operationalized, and through that, I then established the Environmental Management Fund. Today, that fund is in millions if it has not reached $1 billion. And when you hear the Ministry of Environment supporting community project here, water here and here, that is Netumbo established funds. I know when I was appointing the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Libanda, he was very young. That fund is too big. How can you give it to a young person? I say he will manage it. I will be there to guide him, and I'm so proud of what he did. To the point that currently the Namibian Environmental Fund is a fund that is accredited with the Green Climate Fund. And the countries that want to access the Green Climate Fund, particularly in the region, they could be referred to the Namibia Environmental Management Fund to be helped on how they can access money from the Green Climate Fund. So all these are my initiative. I say I always think of the people. And if I have to go back, maybe you can talk about the Beijing Platform of Action. You remember the Beijing Conference?
Yes.
The Beijing Conference, I was the chief negotiator for the African group of that Beijing Conference. And I could know almost word by word what is needed there. At one point, we stuck on the issue of gender. What is gender and so on. It was given to Namibia to chair a committee in order to solve the problem under my leadership. And when the conference took place, I was the rapporteur general of the conference. And there, because, you know, when you are a small country like Namibia, you must push yourself for your country to be up there.
No, 100%.
So, and that is why Namibia is a highly respected internationally. And again, as a Minister of Environment and Tourism, we were discussing this genetical resources. Genetical resources is like our plants when they made medicinal and so on. So the developing countries, they just come in, take these plants, they do their medicine, and we don't benefit anything. So now, in accordance to the UN Convention on Biodiversity, we then develop the Nagoya, the protocol on genetical resources, which will now dictate that if a country make a resources from a specific country, a specific community, that community should have permanent benefit from whatever is coming there. And that is that instrument which I was the chief negotiator for the African group when we were negotiating that instrument.
That benefit, is it in terms of royalties or is it in terms of value addition?
Loyalty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, loyalty. And in Namibia, the Minister of Environment really become high up there. And it has to be like that.
100%.
Because everything we do is on the environment.
Exactly.
Our houses, our fields, where we walk, the air we breathe, everything is environment. So to me, that's a very serious ministry. And with climate change now, it can really be a tool for the government to have benefit in terms of supporting environmental program through that Environmental Management Fund. So then I come now to the Ministry of International Relations. I think this one, Namibia has been very and continue to be highly respected. I remember like at SADC level, SADC, you have SADC and you have SADC organ on defense and politics. And countries can only serve for 1 year. It's a rotational. But when Namibia became a chair of the organ during the time of President Pohamba, and I was a Minister of Foreign Affairs, we were chair during the big program in Madagascar. I literally have to relocate and lived in Madagascar just to manage the situation on behalf of SADC. And after our term came to an end, the SADC felt that let Namibia continue. I think we are the one who have a record having served as chair of the organ 3 years consecutive. And I was the one chairing. So these are some of that is my international input in as far as Namibia is concerned. So this is now at the Minister of in Foreign Affairs and International Relations. And those are the programs that I can talk about. The things are many.
Yeah, no, of course. No, of course. And I just want to highlight on what do you think is Namibia's role going in the future within the region, in a regional aspect and on the international community? Where do you see our place being? How can we sort of elevate further regionally and also internationally? What can we do to become more of a bigger role player?
Yeah, first of all, the focus now is on economic diplomacy. Africa as a continent, we have gained our political independence. Of course, we know that Western Sahara is still struggling, but that is an internal issue. Internal issue in the sense that Western Sahara is not under foreign occupation. It's an issue between Western Sahara and Morocco. So therefore, the economic diplomacy is the way forward now. At the time of our independence, we got our independence when the Cold War was coming to an end. As Africa, we have agreed on our instrument, which is the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which is requiring Africans to trade among themselves. And that's why we have to seriously start implementing some of our critical decisions. For example, in SADC, for a long time, we have been talking about value chain. And the value chain is very, very important because you will not make one country or some countries to be dumping places for finished product, but rather you have to stretch it so that through that value chain, every country will have a portion to add, because in so doing, you are creating jobs in all the countries that will be benefiting from that product. And Africa, one point, has also taken a decision to say that at least to start with, 15 or 20% of Africa raw material should not leave the continent unprocessed. So that's now the issue of value addition. Where I'm seeing now really, if Africa can take its decisions and implement them to the latter, we will be able to fit well in this changing world, which is like moving again to another cycle of a Cold War. It will be focusing on economic. It is not going to be the colonization that we know, but it will be a mental colonization. It will be an real economic colonization that we must try to mitigate one way or the other. A country like Namibia, we accept that our biggest challenge, if you call it a challenge, our biggest problem is the issue of unemployment. And it's not only unique to Namibia. You go to other African countries, it's the same thing. Because why African young people have to rescue their lives on high sea trying to go to Europe? They are basically following their job that we are transporting when we are sending the African raw material to Europe unprocessed. So we need really to work together. And under Agenda 2063, which is Africa's developmental map or mechanism, there is quite a number of demand of economic cooperation among African countries. Now, if we have to take that serious, definitely the Africans will be able to take care of themselves. And it has to start with individual country. If every country say, I abandon my all activities, I will link all my activities to the Africa Agenda 2063, we'll be able to make good progress. So that is why this year, our theme for election, and that is not just really a mere theme, it's a clear vision. And it has to be a guiding thing based on our basic principles of solidarity, freedom, and justice. Our theme, which is unity in diversity. You cannot do anything if you are not united. And that's why at the country level, at the sub-regional level, at the continental level, we need to be united. So our theme is more local, that we talk about unity in diversity, natural resources benefication. We have to add the value to our natural resources, whether in the land or in the sea. Like now we have the oil and gas which are discovered. We have really two. And then you say youth empowerment. Our focus is to empower our young people. And when we talk about empowering the young people, not just to create jobs for them, but to make them, they should be the job creators. So we must just create an environment for them to be more innovative and then to be in charge of their own natural resources. These natural resources are ours. I don't know why some people want to make a debate. They belong to Namibians. But we know we might not have money to invest. But if you don't have the money, it does not mean this thing does not belong to you. You have to take advantage of you having that critical resources and see how you can balance with the one who's bringing in the money. So he cannot do anything if my resource is not there. So this is what should be the attitude in the whole continent if we have to make progress. So natural resources benefication for youth empowerment and sustainable development. Unless really we make use of our resources, we will not bring about prosperity, which will mean sustainable development. So that is really where I'm seeing Africa. Currently, resources are being discovered. I don't even want to believe they are discovered. They knew. They are just now saying it's here because they wanted them. And we should really be strong enough, not just allow them to come and take.
And united.
We must be united. And our young people, they must really be alert. I know that our young people, they are hungry, they are frustrated, they are desperate, they are starting to lose trust in their governments, and that can be very dangerous for them just to be taken out, to be carried away, and by the time they realize they are in forever. So that is really, and that's why I believe on intergenerational. And that's why I believe on engagement between generations so that we can live in harmony and make sure that we sustain our future. So I'm seeing Africa, if we are not united, if we are not doing the same things, what we are saying, we will end up to be back under colonial occupation in a different way. And we have to be careful also with the communication technology, the social media. It can easily
false information,
yes,
manipulation,
mental manipulation
yeah,
can be there. It's really, it's so sad. I said I'm not anti technology, but I'm afraid if we did not handle it properly, it can be used to manipulation and then mental colonization, which will then make us to suffer more and forever, because you can't pinpoint that these are occupying my territory.
Exactly.
Like how it was easy for us to identify our colonizer. And then the whole world has to come to our support.
If you have any advice for young people and future leaders of this nation, what would it be? And what would you say to the young Namibian like myself and so many others that are in the country?
You see, one time I went to China, and everywhere you go, the Chinese are just like telling you the same thing. Then I say, how did you manage this? And then they say, for us, we are very cultural. And the terms which are used by our forefathers, they remain very strong to us. Now, if, for example, you know that we say, I hearken now. Now I don't know these terms in English. You are the own protector of what you are having. So our young people, they have to see them in that context. And then they say, your mother is just your mother. So, which means your country is just your country. And whatever problem in this country cannot be solved by outsiders. We have to solve it ourselves. And our young people, they really need to have trust in the systems which are there, and for them to be open for saying out where corrections should be made. And it's very important to do it in a way that you want to be understood, and not a way of want to score points. Yeah, you know, there are two different ways. If you want to, you can win a debate, but you have not won.
There's
you did not solve the problem.
Yeah. There's constructive criticism, and then there's just
so
destructive
you can win a
criticism.
debate. Debates are fine. You can win it because you know how to articulate, you know how to talk. But you will not solve the hunger that people are having there. You may just perpetuate it. You just perpetuate it. Like now, when one says the swap government has not done anything, are you really serious to say we have not done anything? If you compare over 100 years, some are saying the colonizers were better. This country has been colonized for 100 years. And talk about education. At the time of our independence, only 6% of Namibians have access to education. Sub 1, sub B. Today we are talking about 90-80%. They have access to education. At the time of our independence, our health facilities here were just like maybe 200 or what. Today they are over 500. Our schools were just like 1,000. Today they are over 2,000. And still you think, we know that now that many people have access to education, we must concentrate on quality. That's where we should concentrate. And it does not really help that you want every time to start. And that is one thing that Africa has suffered. That when you have one administration is coming, then they feel others have not done anything. They think they are starting, they will not do anything. You must build on what is there. It's only then you can move.
The foundation.
The foundation. Africa is now locked into this thing of democracy. Look at America, how many political parties?
2.
And in Africa, you go to one African country, 60 political parties. A country small like Namibia, maybe 16, 20 political parties. We must really, as young people, you must calm down, analyze the situation, and see where you want your country to be. These things which are coming, the more political party, the better. Why it's not better for America? Why it's better for us?
Divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer. That's what is happening. And disrupt. Disrupt what is happening. You say,
so that we lose focus on what is truly happening, and we are busy focusing on things that are inconsequential to our future.
Say that again.
So I think it's very important that people do understand what you are saying in terms of unity, and also like being constructive in our criticism, and also understanding that the process takes time to also build. Like you rightfully mentioned, that education, healthcare, it has all improved since our time of independence.
Even electricity services.
Even electricity,
water, potable water.
Yeah, exactly. We have the literacy rate of the country has gone up significantly. Access to healthcare, access to education, access to services has gone up significantly. And I think what you touch on there is very correct. And we must not lose sight of the direction that we are going, and not break the foundations that you and the SWAPO party and the comrades past and present have set for us as young people.
So we need just to build on what we have done. And what I say is just example. Look at road infrastructures. How much we spend and how much we are spending. And with the new industries like oil and gas discovered, we must be careful. Africa is a history that countries with critical resources, they are put in conflict, which never come to an end. Look at DRC. Look at Cabo Delgado in Mozambique. So if we are not careful, people are trying to find a way how that could happen in Namibia. But for us who know why we fought for this country, it cannot happen under our watch. But the final decision is on the Namibian hands with our democracy.